One issue that most online stores have with Google Ads is scaling. And especially if you are in a low volume niche, this can be very frustrating because maybe there simply isn't enough demand, or at least you haven't found the right keywords yet, or something isn't working for you when it comes to trying to push your Google Ads to the next level. So in today's video, I want to give you a step-by-step framework, in a very specific process for how we are doing it, because even though many of our clients are in slightly bigger niches and they do, six or multiple six or even seven figures a month with Google Ads, occasionally we also work with those that are in a very, very small space. So we have to get creative and think about how can we actually scale it. So without any further ado, let's get started with our step-by-step framework for scaling Google Ads in low volume niches. First of all, I will be all right, there we go. So what you can see here is a client in a very, very low volume niche, and we managed to get to 55K at a very, very healthy ROAS now. And what we now identified is that we can actually scale much more than that because we have a bunch of campaigns now with low search impression shares. So previously we thought we will never be able to get beyond like 20, 25K. Now we are here at almost 60, and probably we will be able to get that to 80 to 90K relatively soon. And that is exactly what the goal here is, right, in a low volume niche. So what I have here for you is a 6-step process. And I want to go with you step by step through it. But first of all, what is a low volume niche in the first place? Well, I define it as a niche with limited amount of obvious search queries for your main products. Okay, so it's not even necessarily a niche that has no demand, but at least no obvious demand or no obvious search queries. So you go into the keyword planner and immediately have like 500,000 searches, or you start a shopping campaign and get like $1,000 per day in ad spend right away. Okay, so you have to dig a little bit deeper. That's really what I think about it. And with that being said, let's start with the first step, and that is a keyword planner check, right? Immediately or in the beginning, you want to go to keyword planner and just get a feel for what is actually happening in your niche. And what I like to do, you can see it on the screenshot right here, is I type in, for example, one of our main product keywords. In this case, we started working with a new client like a week ago in the makeup space, or you could say in the beauty space more generally. But I typed in makeup for dry skin. I checked, basically I used of course the country we're selling in, and what's important, I always activate Google and search partners so that I get the maximum volume. And then I tend to sort by average monthly searches. So what we get here now is like best foundation for dry skin, best drugstore concealer, good foundation for dry skin, and so on and so forth, right? And you can already get a very first immediate understanding of what's happening in that niche. And then you want to repeat that process for a whole bunch of products, and you want to sort of note down, okay, what's actually in it for me, right? If you type in, let's say you are a beauty store with like 10 different products or 15 or whatever, you can type the different functions, the different features of your products into the keyword planner and find out what's in there for you in terms of volume. So you can enter your product names directly, or again, you can enter the features and so on and so forth. By doing that exercise, you basically get an understanding of whether the search volume is in the range of like 1,000 or 2,000 only, or whether the combined search volume might be in the 30, 50, 100, 200,000 range, okay? What's important here, of course, is that you should only look at relevant search queries and not the ones that Google thinks are relevant, but they're actually not. And what I like to do is I like to check also for the seasonal changes here, right? Maybe the average is like 20,000, but in the summer it's like 60,000 per month, and now we're entering summer, and that might be the most relevant period for you. So those are things to actually keep in mind. All right, that was the very brief and simple first step. Now let's talk about the second, and that is maximizing shopping impression share. So shopping ads, of course, I don't have to tell you that, are the lowest hanging fruit for virtually any e-commerce business. And maximizing your shopping, technically it's still called search impression share, but your shopping impression share, as I will call it right here, is the number one thing that you should work on. So with this client here, for example, basically, as you can see, there are a few campaigns, and these ones here we maxed out. You can imagine the one with the 98% and 100% are actually branded campaigns. And then this one here is not, and the other ones aren't branded either. Except for the two here at the top, all of them are actually profitable. This one is about to be profitable, and this one has the most scalability, right? You can see here we have a search impression share of less than 10%. And then for the others, we have 63, which means it's definitely scalable. And then we have 57, which is also very scalable, right? But especially the one at the top with the less than 10%, it's not yet profitable, but it's getting there pretty soon. And it means for us that there certainly is a lot of volume to be gained from there. So what you have to keep in mind is that when you want to maximize your shopping impression share, what Google shows you isn't necessarily everything there is. If you have 100% search impression share, it means you have 100% of the available impressions that are realistic for your case, okay? And what that means is there might be more impressions, but they might be completely out of reach. They might be way too expensive. People might bid way too much for them, or other reasons might apply why 100% search impression share doesn't mean you get all the impressions, but still it's a very good metric to look at. And the very first step before you should worry about, what campaign type should I launch next and what's in it for me and what's the maximum volume, try to get your search impression share for shopping to 100%, because this is, or close to 100, right? Normally you will never get 100. I've very rarely seen this. Normally it's like 95, 97, 92. You don't want to aim actually at 100, but get as close as possible to it. Sometimes at 80 you are capped, sometimes 90, 95, you get the idea, because at some point there will be diminishing returns, and every single impression or click technically will get even more expensive. But, and that's the point, if you are in a small niche with very limited volume, you have no other choice but trying to be a very big player in that small niche, right? You cannot aim at a $50 or $100 or $150,000 monthly revenue from Google in a very small space if you are not ready to really optimize every single element down to the last bit, including, of course, also your site. It's impossible to get like 95% search impression share on everything and be profitable with it if you're not willing to constantly optimize your campaigns and your store and your product pages and so on and so forth. So that should be your first step. And of course, there are multiple ways to go about it and multiple steps that you have to take within that. So the first thing is very straightforward. You can simply increase your budgets. At some point, this will not work anymore. In that case, you have to increase your bids in a second step, right? Or you lower your ROAS targets in case you run on target ROAS, because that's virtually the same indirectly. Number 3 is you want to have more and more keyword-rich titles. So technically you can and should do it at the beginning already, but I'm ordering those in, or I'm ranking those in order of how easy it is to do it, right? And higher budgets is always the first thing you should try. Number 3, if you add more keyword-rich titles, or if you add more keywords to your titles, you will of course also get more impressions. And I've mentioned that a few times on this channel in different videos. We had cases where a much better title gave us 30, 50, 100% more impressions. So this is absolutely worth doing. And number 4, you should regularly test your images to find the one with maximum click-through rate, especially in a finite niche, in a small niche. Having a click-through rate of 1.7%, which I consider very high on Google Shopping, versus 0.5 means you get 3 times as much traffic. And in a small niche where every click counts, this is more important than ever, so to speak, okay? So then number 3, now we go into search, okay? And search for most brands is more difficult than shopping. And it really depends on your case whether search is a really good option for you. But I can tell you that for most of our clients, regardless of whether they spend $7,000 a month or, as our biggest client does right now, close to $200,000 a month on just Google, search works for most of them. Of course, it depends how much exactly. Some of them make a few $100,000 per month just with search. Others make only, $8,000 with search, and the rest is like shopping, PMAX, and so on. But it works to some degree for almost everyone. And same as with shopping applies, but with search, you can test keywords quickly and find out whether it's worth maximizing the search impression share or not, okay? You don't have to, with shopping, you have to hit 100% almost, or 90, as I said, right? Because it will always or almost always be super relevant. With search, of course, it depends on the keyword, on the headline, on the product, on the category, the price, etc., etc. Not every keyword in search will work for you, unlike with shopping, where to some degree it will most of the time. So with search, you can test though and find out what's actually working. That's the beauty with search, because you can actively define the keywords you want to show up for. And here I give you a short or a quick, very simplified hierarchy of search campaigns, especially if you have a small store or in a small niche, right? So you have product keywords, competitor keywords, problem keywords, and others. And of course, in some cases, you have more than that. This is just an example, and I left brand campaigns or brand search out here as well. So with product keywords, I stick with that, beauty, makeup example that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. The product keywords might be things like best makeup for light skin or good conditioner. Very straightforward. They are typically the ones that tend to work best. But of course, in order for them to work, first of all, you need to be great at writing search ad copy, and you have to test it frequently, right? Because sometimes you have to pre-qualify better and more. You should test a whole bunch of things. You have to balance conversion rate and click-through rate, because both are important, but conversion rate is arguably even more important than click-through rate. And you have to really make sure that you find the set or the combination of product keywords and landing pages and ad copy that actually works for you. But that's always worth trying, right? Then you have competitor keywords, and especially in a low volume niche, this can be super powerful. If you sell, again, we stick to this example, if you sell something with limited volume, but you have a whole bunch of competitors that also go for that volume, bidding on their terms can be super powerful. In this case, Sephora, I just wanted to use an example that most people out there know. And by stacking up those competitors, you get more volume, right? You get another 10, 20, 50, 100,000 per month in searches that you can then target and convert. We have a whole bunch of clients where we use competitor search keywords for, and those search campaigns do really well. Normally, as you can see here, all of those are individual campaigns for us, okay? So we almost never combine those. We have a dedicated product keyword campaign, dedicated competitor, problem, or informational, whatever you might want to call it. And then we have a few other campaigns, of course, as well. Brand, other stuff, nuances, sometimes countries, and so on and so forth. Then we have problem keywords like dry skin, what to do. They are not looking for a product yet, but they're potentially interested in one if we can convince them that what we have helps them with their dry skin, right? Moisturize it. Maybe you have a moisturizer, a bundle, whatever it might be. Yeah, you see I'm pretty experienced at this point in time when it comes to beauty products, even though I don't use them myself. But, you really make your experiences in that field. So then you have other things as well, like healthy skin. Not necessarily searching for a problem or something like that, but they might be looking for something. This is honestly just an example that I gave you here of a kind of random search query. It's not a problem, it's not a question, it's not a product, but you get the idea. There are certain search queries that might turn into sales as well. And that is something that you have to do with limited volume, because only with when you have limited volume, even more so than with large volume niches, you have to think about all the different angles that you can sell your product with. If you are in a huge space, you can simply focus on the lowest hanging fruits and still make $300,000 a month from Google. But if you are in a super narrow space, you have to think about all the different angles, all the different ways you can target, and so on. You have to probably create multiple landing pages, try advertorials, and so on and so forth in order to be able to scale your campaigns. It's more work, but it's definitely possible, I can tell you from experience, to get almost every niche, or to make, for almost any Google Ads account, it's possible to make 100K per month, at least 50,000 per month in revenue, regardless of the niche, if you try all those things out, give it a little bit of time, and so on and so forth. And by the way, if this sounds super complicated to you, and you think like, I'm not sure how to do it, or maybe you have a brand that is in a very, very large niche and you want to hit that $300,000, $500,000, $800,000 per month mark, check the link in the description and claim your profit roadmap. This is not a sales call or something that you may be used to from like other places, but you can actually request a roadmap where I will sit down and give you a step-by-step game plan for what to do to take your brand to the next level with Google Ads. It's entirely free. And only after you watch it, you can think about, okay, that sounds pretty good. I want to work with these guys, right? So very straightforward. You should make at least 50,000 a month across all your sales channels and advertising channels in order to qualify for it. Otherwise, it will be quite difficult. But if that's the case and you want to take your Google Ads game to the next level, make sure to check it out. That's just on a small side note. So without any further ado, let's go into step 4. Dynamic search ads, let Google find ideas for you. That's very powerful for all brands, for all stores, but also, again, if you are in a small niche, then what you can basically do here is you can launch a dynamic search campaign, DSA. I have a video on this channel there about that too, or you simply Google it very quickly, very straightforward. And then you can let Google find the right traffic for you. So what they will do is they will write your headlines, they will find the right keywords, and they will combine them with the ideal final URL on your site. So that is so powerful because maybe Google has some ideas for relevant traffic that you haven't figured out yet. Dynamic search ads are most useful when you have a store with many categories, many products, very large scale store, but also with a smaller store with limited products, with limited categories. It can be very useful. And I can say that we use dynamic search ads for pretty much any store that we run ads for, right? Regardless of the size, complexity, etc., just to give it a try. In some cases, it doesn't work that well, but in my opinion, it's something that you should always try. It can give you more traffic that you may have never thought of, and that's of course an absolute no-brainer in most cases. Then we have the next step, and now I have to move myself again. There we go. Okay, now we talk about demand gen, and this is about creating attention. This is honestly some, I would say, kind of next level stuff, right? Because demand gen, in my opinion, that requires some budget. It requires something like $3,000 to $5,000, in my opinion, to get decent results from and to be able to actually call it a test. I see many accounts, they have tried it, they spent $100, $200 on it, said it doesn't work. That's not how you can get demand gen to actually work for you, right? So what you have to do with demand gen is you have to run a whole bunch of you have to test a whole bunch of different audiences, in-market, custom segments, lookalikes, etc. You can then see what works the best. You definitely need multiple assets, because if you just upload one image or two, and then you think, okay, that will probably, one of those two will probably be an absolute beast and give me crazy performance, that's normally not how it works. So you need multiple audiences, multiple assets. Those assets have to be good. So if you only have simple white background images in your store, don't bother testing those. In this case, stick to shopping search, that's the way to go. But if you want to go the extra mile, and again, especially if you are in a small volume niche, then you should go that extra mile and invest into those assets, because your search volume will at some point definitely be exhausted. And this means that you can extend your reach and extend your volume through demand gen as a push marketing channel, just like Facebook ads, right, or Instagram, where you say they're not actively searching for my product right now, but I can push my product onto their throats and say, hey, you need it, you want to buy it, you have to check it out, right? So demand gen comes next. Only after you exhausted shopping and search to a good degree, you should bother about it. Or if you say, I have the budget, I can spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a test, of course you can do it earlier, but only do so with decent assets. And then we get to the last point of that list. And of course, this is just a very top level view, and all of them have like 100 sub-steps. But basically, in a last step, you can use YouTube for technically almost unlimited volume. Now, YouTube ads, in my opinion, are even more difficult than demand gen campaigns if you want to get direct profitability from them. What I show you here is actually a YouTube ad that we have built with one of our clients 3 years ago. You can see 11 million views at this point. So that's a pretty huge YouTube campaign. And the space they operate in is relatively small. Their offer is relatively straightforward, not that huge. And that's a prime example for how a YouTube campaign can not only give you direct sales, but all those people, all those 11 million views, or of course there are fewer than 11 million watchers, but several million people that have actually watched that video to a certain length, right? We can retarget them, we can get them deeper into our funnel, we can work with them, and so on and so forth. So YouTube ads is not only for immediate direct sales. Of course, that's the best case, but at the same time, they are also a great source of top of funnel traffic that you can then retarget and work with and send offers to, and so on and so forth. So this campaign was an absolute success. We have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of euros or dollars on that campaign for sure. But it has been worth it overall. We have thousands of view-through conversions, direct conversions, as I said, retargeted people that we converted it in other display or demand gen or search campaigns. So definitely worth trying, especially in a niche with limited volume, where you can show people, hey, that's actually what we sell, right? And they see your ad and they're like, wow, I didn't even know that I wanted that product. I didn't even know that such a product existed. So now you have them in your funnel and you can post-process them, so to speak. Not necessary if you have millions of search queries in your space, or at least not in the beginning, but otherwise that's a great way to get more people into your funnel. And that's pretty much what I recommend to do if you are in a low volume niche. Of course, there are many other sub-steps and examples and things that you can do. You can expand your business, you can scale to other countries if that's possible, but I didn't put them in here because I thought, well, I don't want to tell you to just scale to other countries. I'm sure that you thought about that, if that is relevant for you and if you can actually do it from a logistics standpoint, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, if you need help with all of that, feel free to check the link below for a full-scale Google Ads profit roadmap. We have created about 30 or 40 of those over the past weeks and months, whenever there was a good fit, 50K, as I said, per month in revenue or above. We created one of these roadmaps for those people, and so far the feedback has been phenomenal. Actually more than, I think, about 70 or 80 roadmaps that we have hand created in a Loom video. So if that's interesting for you, make sure to check the description, check the link. It's free. As I said, no marketing emails that you will receive. You won't join my newsletter or anything like that. It's literally just claiming the roadmap and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. Please subscribe for more Google Ads and performance marketing content for e-commerce. And with that being said, I look forward to see you in the next video again. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.